One man's passion for selecting changed into a TV phenomenon. Frank Fritz wasn't just a collector, he was a storyteller, a treasure hunter, and a persona that thousands and thousands grew to like. But at the back of the laughter and the antiques, there has been a deeper story, one packed with triumphs, struggles, and a surprising very last bankruptcy. Join us as we talk about what they determined in Frank Fritz's estate on the way to leave you speechless. A collector from the beginning, the surprising news of Frank Fritz's demise left fans and collectors shocked. His adventure from a small metropolis youngster with a love for gathering to a famous television character turned into one full of passion, willpower, and surprising twists. But to virtually understand his story, we must return to in which it all commenced. His adolescence. Frank Fritz changed into born on October 11, 1963, in Davenport, Iowa. From a younger age, he had a fascination with gadgets that instructed a tale. While most youngsters had been busy with toys or sports activities, Frank became already at the hunt for hidden treasures. He accumulated just about anything he ought to get his hands on: cash, stamps, beer cans, or even antique razor blades. Where different human beings saw junk, he saw records. Imagine being a kid and taking walks into a vintage shop filled with dusty cabinets, old clocks ticking, and faded snapshots staring back at you. That was the arena Frank fell in love with. He wasn't just interested by proudly owning matters, he wanted to recognize their past. Who used this vintage pocket watch? Where had this rusty sign as soon as hung? These have been the varieties of questions that filled his mind. As Frank grew older, his pastimes accelerated. He moved on from small collectibles to bigger treasures, bikes, dirt bikes, and uncommon memorabilia. He spent hours at flea markets and storage income, usually searching for the subsequent terrific discover. Some people would possibly have concept he was just a youngster with a strange interest, but to Frank, it changed into something plenty bigger. It turned into a passion, a manner of life. But here's the twist. He failed to soar directly into the arena of antiques as a profession. After high college, life took him in a very special route. For nearly 25 years, Frank worked as a fireplace inspector in Iowa. It became an extreme task, one that required interest to element and a commitment to public protection. While he became busy ensuring homes had been up to code, his love for collecting by no means faded, and in a manner his job absolutely fueled his passion. As a fireplace inspector, Frank got to visit old buildings, firehouses, and warehouses, all filled with forgotten treasures. He began accumulating firehouse memorabilia, helmets, extinguishers, antique hearth alarms, anything that linked to records. Little did he realize this facet hobby would finally exchange his existence. At some factor, Frank found out something vital. His collectibles were not just personal treasures, they had real cost. He started buying and selling gadgets, turning his ardor right into a profitable aspect business. What if he should do that complete time? What if he could spend his days searching for forgotten relics and bringing them back to lifestyles? It wasn't an unclean choice to depart behind a stable profession. However, Frank took the hazard. He opened his very own antique shop, Frank's Finds, in which he focused on promoting fireman's device and other precise trinkets. It changed into a small step. However, it set the level for something lots bigger, the rise of a picker's journey. Frank may have become the maximum famous person within the global of picking. However, his tale wasn't pretty much antiques. It became approximately ardor, friendship, and in the end, a painful falling out. He was the guy with the scruffy beard, the mischievous grin, and a knack for locating hidden treasures in dusty barns and forgotten garages. His attraction, humor, and understanding made him a fan favorite. But backstage, things weren't continually as clean as they appeared. Long earlier than American pickers had become a reality TV phenomenon, Frank Fritz became simply every other man with a love for amassing, but he wasn't on my own. His co-big name, Mike Wolf, shared the equal ardor. The two first crossed paths in Center School in Bettendorf, Iowa. Did they, without delay, hit it off? Not without a doubt. They weren't exactly excellent buddies growing up, but as time went on, their shared love for locating and collecting uncommon objects added them collectively. Mike became the one with the big goals. He had the imaginative and prescient of turning selecting into something larger than only a hobby. He began filming himself occurring selecting trips, recording his unearths, and pitching the idea to networks. Frank then again became jogging his vintage Save Frank's Finds content material with promoting his discoveries. It took some convincing, but subsequently Frank agreed to sign up for Mike in his adventures. Their Avenue trips would become a large hit. When American Pickers premiered at the History Channel in 2010, it fast have become a favorite amongst viewers. The premise was easy, however addictive. Mike and Frank traveled throughout America, trying to find valuable antiques, rare collectibles, and hidden treasures. They didn't just buy and promote, they informed the tales at the back of the objects, revealing their ancient significance and why they mattered. And it is where Frank's appeal simply shined. While Mike was frequently the business-minded, rapid-talking negotiator, Frank became the only holy who linked with humans. He had a manner of making house owners sense comfortable, joking around with them, and making the audience sense like they were right there in the second. He became the man who may want to turn a clumsy stumble upon into amusing out-loud conversation. He wasn't simply shopping for old fuel station symptoms or rusty bikes. He turned into building relationships. It wasn't just his humor that received human beings over. It was his authenticity. Frank by no means got here across as someone simply doing a task. He loved picking. Whether he changed into digging through piles of junk or getting excited over an antique oil can, his enthusiasm was actual. And this is why fanatics linked with him. For over a decade, American Pickers thrived. Millions of viewers tuned in to observe Frank and Mike crisscross the USA of their van looking for rusty gold. Their dynamic worked. Mike became the chief, Frank changed into the cute sidekick, and Danielle Colby stored things going for walks smoothly from the workplace. It became a team attempt, but things were not continually as ideal as they seemed on screen. In 2020, enthusiasts began noticing something ordinary. Frank became missing from episodes. At first, there wasn't a good deal explanation. Then came the truth. Frank had taken a day without work due to fitness troubles, including main-again surgery that left him with 185 stitches and 2 rods in his spine. He turned into additionally managing non-public struggles consisting of dependency problems. For a while, it seemed like he would possibly return to the display, but that in no way took place. In 2021, Mike introduced that Frank became formally not a part of American Pickers. The declaration wasn't precisely filled with warm temperature and friendship. The fallout and a friendship damaged. When Mike Wolf addressed Frank's departure, he placed out a statement saying he could miss, however, Frank wasn't shopping for it. In a blunt interview, he known as Mike's assertion, BS, and claimed that in his time away, Mike in no way once known as to check on him. Imagine that after a long time of running together, one of them goes via a life-changing surgery and the alternative would not even pick up the cell phone. Frank didn't returned. He made it clear that his friendship with Mike had never been as near as human beings assumed. They labored nicely together on digital camera. However, off display, things were one of a kind. He claimed Mike had desired him out of the show for a long time, and while the possibility got here, he took it. It changed into an unhappy and sour finishing to what many concept become an unbreakable partnership. Fans had been heartbroken. How may want to 2 guys who had traveled the USA collectively, snort collectively, and constructed something terrific collectively, just disintegrate like that? Despite how things ended, one issue remained proper. Frank Fritz became one of the reasons American Pickers became the success that it did. He wasn't simply some other Truth TV famous person. He turned into real. His excitement over an antique toy, his hilarious one-liners, his potential to show a stupid choose into a fun journey. Those have been the moments that made human beings love the display. Even after his go-out, fanatics continued to help him, Many hoped for his go back or a minimum of a few type of reconciliation between him and Mike. Sadly, that by no means took place. Frank can also have left American Pickers, but his presence inside the world of choosing will by no means be forgotten. He proved that ardor and personality can turn a simple hobby into something exceptional. Whether he was uncovering an unprecedented check in a barn or laughing over an old motorbike, he added something special to the show, building a commercial enterprise empire beyond picking. Except for his time on American Pickers, many humans do not comprehend simply how Lot's Frank Fritz finished within the Antiques International. He wasn't just a reality TV star, he turned into a businessman, a collector, and a professional in his area. His passion for finding hidden treasures didn't prevent when the cameras grew to become off, it became his manner of existence. Frank understood that the arena of antiques turned into changing. The upward push of online shopping supposed that collectors weren't simply traveling bodily shops anymore, they were trying to find treasures online. To stay in advance, he extended his commercial enterprise onto virtual structures, selling collectibles to shoppers across the world.